And Sebastian, I've actually never stayed at an Airbnb. I'm a hotelier through and through. I won't do it. Yep.
Welcome to the Turndown. I can't wait for you to meet Sarah Fults. Sarah Fults is the Vice President of Distribution at MGM Resorts. MGM Resorts is a big casino company, is operating 31 properties, about 46,000 hotel rooms. So think of every casino having roughly 1,500 hotel rooms. Sarah is responsible to manage not only her team of, I think, 35, 40 people that are taking care of connectivity, onboarding, distribution of offers to third-party channels. She's also in the process of changing her CRS system. I can't wait for you to discover what Sarah has to say about her work, her life, and what's keeping her up at night. Let's roll the tape. Welcome to the Turndown. I'm joined by Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me. Sarah is the Vice President of Distribution at MGM Hotels, and I will dive right straight into it. My warm-up and opening question is, Sarah, as a VP of Distribution at MGM, what is keeping you up at night these days?
Oh, you're going there. You're going right for it. All right.
Correct.
Well, you didn't prep me with the questions, so great to be
okay.
here. Thanks for having me. Always great chatting with you, Sebastian. We always have a good time.
We do.
What's keeping me up at night? I would say, well, for those that know me, they know I'm not a great sleeper. So I do a lot of good, deep thinking at night. I tend to map through problems in my head at night. That's number one. But I would say I probably focus on my team the most. I have an amazing team. Right? I am nothing without my team. I probably have the best team I've ever had. And I want to ensure they're thriving and they're happy and what's next for them. And I focus a lot about their growth and where they're at. I spend a lot of time focusing on my team. Secondly, I would say...
Okay, go on.
I'm going to give you a second one. Lately, I've been spending a ton of time thinking about designing the next best toiletry bag and carry-on. This keeps me up at night. I have shopped.
Seriously?
I have purchased 1 million carry-ons, backpacks, and toiletry bags, and I have yet to find the right one. If anybody wants to invest, let me know, because I'm determined to do this.
Right, and you're going to find a designer or a producer. Well, you're going to design it.
I have the vision. I have the vision in my head.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Toiletry bag. Yeah, I can see that. Carry-on luggage? I love my carry-on luggage. Really? Like, you have a hard time?
I'm more like a backpack or, a bag to go to an exec meeting is different than if you're traveling internationally. I love to sit in the airport and look at all the backpacks in the airport. I'm like, they're all different shapes and sizes and what works for people. And I still have yet to find the right one for me. And I've ordered a lot.
I think the most important thing is to travel light, right? Don't overpack. Don't put too much stuff in your... How big is your luggage for 3 days? Are you checking?
I literally just had this conversation with my boss. He said, you're never traveling with me because I won't do a carry-on. I check every time.
You check every time? Okay.
Unless it's a one or two day trip, I'm checking every time. I've never lost my luggage, knock on wood. So
let's go back to your team. You have... how big is your team? What do they do? Help us understand, what
I have about 34 people on my team right now. We focus on connectivity and operations of third party. And right now, one of the big projects we're working on is we're going to launch a new CRS this year. That's been a long project that we're excited to launch. So I have a team that focuses on that. I have a team that focuses on GDS, travel agent commissions, third-party connectivity to all the partners, and I have third-party content as well as third-party reservations.
That's exciting. So you're maintaining two systems right now. Like you're sunsetting your existing infrastructure, you're introducing a new technology, and you're managing the process throughout. That should keep you up at night, or doesn't? You didn't mention that right away.
Yeah, because those sleepless nights are over. We're in the home stretch. we're launching soon, but that did keep me up at night. That did for sure.
Okay, I know it would have kept me up at night, but I guess you figured out all the data migration, all the processes, and now you have a date. Is there a magic date when things are being unplugged and replugged?
There is a magic date. I can't give you that exact date,
That's
but
okay. No worries.
it'll be the end of the year for sure.
That's
I'm
exciting.
excited. The date is finally here. We're very excited. A lot of hard work went into that. The team has worked incredibly hard to get us here. I'm super proud of them.
What do you do to keep your team happy and engaged and, excited to go to work? Like you dedicate your role to your team, right? You mentioned that in your introduction. So you spend some extra attention to their, I guess, satisfaction, happiness, engagement, etc. What do you do to get them excited to come to work? Maybe I should ask them, but I'd love to get your perspective.
So first and foremost, we moved to fully remote during COVID. Most of us, though, are based in Las Vegas. The team loves being remote. I think it gives them that work-life balance. I love it as well. So that makes them extremely happy. But we do every meeting on camera. We use Teams. We're always on camera. My team knows they need to be on camera. I think it helps you connect better being on camera. I do monthly all-team meetings. We do a quarterly in-person meeting. I do a ton of skip levels, and I don't really love the word skip level, but I spend a lot of time with my team at all levels, speaking to them, talking about what they want, their careers. I know a lot about their personal lives because that's important to me. All the kids' names and pets, animals, all of that. And we're really close. I think we're all very loyal to one another. They support me as much as I support them. So we just make a really good team. I'm big on the team culture, so I really push for that. Everybody knows what I expect. I know people think I'm a tough boss because they know me from managing partners, and I'm actually a bit of a mama bear when it comes to my team. I really want them to be
very
happy.
Protective.
I'm very protective of my team. There's a lot of loyalty on both sides there. So I've had people with me for a long time, people that have come with me from outside the company. Like yesterday, we played a game we love to play games. Yesterday's simple game was, if you could only listen to one album for the rest of your life, what would that be? Everybody loved that, right? It gets you to get to know each other in a different way. So we just do a lot of fun stuff. We use the team chat a lot. We celebrate every birthday, every anniversary. Anything
That's
exciting
awesome.
or important going on in people's lives. We celebrate wins. We try and keep really connected.
What was your answer? What was your album?
I knew you were going to ask that. So I think it's, I listened to everybody's answers and I was like, oh, I should have said that. I should have said that. So for me, I love music. It really keeps me in a good mindset. Right now, I think I went with what I'm feeling right now. So I'm an 80s and 90s girl. And if you remember in 1992, this movie came out called Singles, and they made a soundtrack. And I'm listening to that a lot in my car right now.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. There was something else I wanted to dive into, which was around your team's culture. How would you describe it? Like, what are some of the attributes that come to mind? Some companies have values or have, description on how they, but how would you describe your team's culture?
That's a good question. I want my team to feel, first of all, I want my team to feel safe in the environment they're in. I want my team to be able to speak up, tell me what's working, tell me what's not working, what's making you happy, what's making you stay up at night. That's first and foremost. I want them to feel like they have the tools and the education to do their job. I will get them as much training as they need to feel like they can speak to their role and be proficient in their role. That's super important. I have some expectations that everybody helps one another. I view the hotels as almost clients, right? We actually work for them. So I ask that they treat the even other corporate entities as such. So it's important to me that we're known for being helpful and polite and good to work with, but super knowledgeable in our roles. And we have a lot of processes, SOPs. Somehow I don't think that surprises you. We're very structured.
Good idea.
We're very structured. I have a lot of perfectionists on my team. So we are all striving for, we want to drive efficiencies and be as automated as possible. It's important that we stay up on new technology. So I send articles every day. I'm big on articles. Harvard Business Review, I read daily, and I send leadership articles to the team. So it's a good environment. It's a good culture. I think people are happy for the most part. They might not be happy with me every day, but for the most part.
Excellent. Walk us through your morning routine. How did you start your day this morning?
So not being a great sleeper, I woke up at 3:30, and knowing I had to actually get dressed today and speak with you, I didn't get on the treadmill. I try to get on that treadmill every day. I'll do that later tonight. I am that person that grabs my phone while I'm still in bed. I like that kind of whatever. If it's 15 minutes or I have half an hour, I'll read LinkedIn. I definitely start there. I'll go through my emails. I make sure I know what's on my calendar for the day. And I can't believe that I'm actually going to admit this, but I have totally got sucked into TikTok. I mean, that is a rabbit hole of anything and everything that you could go down in that world of TikTok.
Do you do that before LinkedIn or after LinkedIn?
I do it actually after LinkedIn. It's kind of I don't know, it's a way to just not think about anything to start your day. So I've been spending a little too much time on TikTok lately.
Now, I'm curious on the TikTok things because, you're a very busy professional person. I'm curious what gives, meaning at what expense? Are you watching less TV? Are you watching less, what gives?
That's a great question.
Even if it's 15 minutes, I'm just curious, what are you doing less?
Well, I gave up mainstream news a couple of years ago. You can understand why. So I don't watch the news. I used to be a big watch the news every morning or read the news. I read the industry news. I do go through and read the industry news. And so I would say probably I've given up a little bit more TV. TV is my way to decompress. And so I've switched out TV for TikTok lately. I got to get off it. It's a bad habit.
All right. What is a common myth about your job?
That's a great question. A common myth about my job.
Knowing I thought you were going to go to connectivity or something
No, I still think, right, the importance of distribution as a role in the greater organization is still a struggle that I think all of us in distribution fight for, right? Distribution really makes the wheels go round for revenue management and in the commercial group. And I think that the importance of distribution is still something I'm fighting through at all levels, right? Inside, outside the organization.
With your vast experience, how would you describe distribution today, especially to somebody that, maybe is not familiar with what you do specifically, but, where does distribution start? Where does it end? I know you and I have had this conversation a number of times, but, I love to get your unfiltered perspective here.
You're taking me back to when we were doing the Edna marketing, right? And
for instance, or amongst a few other things, or
and you and I just talking about how we can't find a great glossary of terms that exists out there, right? That we need. So what, right? When you Google it, where do you find the definition of distribution? So, of course, we focus on distribution, especially at MGM, right? It could be you're distributing show tickets. You could distribute many things, but I focus on room bookings for my career. And it's in simplest terms, right? You're putting the product on the shelf for sale. But that starts all the way from the sales partnership with all of the third-party partners, all the way through to the end with support. I will say the kind of biggest I don't want to say wake up call. That's not the right words. But over COVID, we centralized this third party reservations team that was all on property. They centralized that under me. And seeing everything that comes in on that side of third party has been so interesting, from guests' requests, the phone calls, the emails that guests send in, whether it's the conversations tools, it's billing issues. We handle a lot of stuff on taking deposits, a lot around third party that is very still manual, that we're working really hard to drive efficiencies on. But I think that most people don't see that end of it. I have a copy of their inbox within my Outlook, and I love to go in and just see what are the guests asking for, what are the most common questions, and that'll be something that I think about at night is, okay, how can we further this process? And we have great partners at MGM that I work with on the technology side, because I am looking at the technology side to drive some efficiencies there. I had a great call with Microsoft last week to talk about ChatGPT and perhaps using that for the conversations tools, right? We are responding back if somebody's saying, hey, what is it? What can I do to celebrate my birthday at one of your properties? Can these new tools help us drive efficiencies there? So there's always work to be done. It's always, in my mind, I'm always looking, how can I make this faster, more efficient, right? More automated. That's what goes through my mind every single day.
That's so exciting. So you mentioned the birthday at the property, but what are sort of the areas of questions that are most common that you get?
I think I'm always surprised to see the number of people that try and get out of their reservation within the cancel period. The number of things that people come up with is absolutely amazing to me. I think being in Vegas, we probably have a higher number of that too.
Okay. So they booked a non-refundable rate, special deal.
Or they're within or they're going to lose their deposit. And
that creativity is endless, is your point. Okay.
Yes. But, people ask, there's a lot of special requests that come in, right? Everybody wants a fountain view at Bellagio. Everybody wants whatever. High floor. There's a lot of requests that come in.
Yeah. You've been in distribution for some time. I'm curious how distribution from your perspective has evolved and changed over time. Like, think of now versus maybe 10 years ago.
So I started in distribution, I would say, around 2005-ish when I went to work for HBSI. And at that time, Michael Hines, who's the original founder of HBSI, he invented that product in 1999. You fast forward to 2023, the product looks generally the same and works generally the same, which is a kudos to Michael because he had such a vision. But overall, right, connectivity still works the same in a lot of ways from back 20 years ago. If you think about it, right, it's still
or I don't know. Okay,
right. It hasn't evolved a ton, and that's no fault of anybody for trying, right? There's a lot of people out there trying to push. I think that we're still sitting on all of these disparate systems, right? And we're trying to connect. And I think that the third-party distributors have really pushed the envelopes, coming out with a lot of different APIs, but are they really usable for everybody, right? It's even at the size of MGM, or it could be the size of another big brand. You can't really take advantage of all the APIs that they have out there. As an example, right, for content management. If you don't have a content management system that they can pull the content from, then it's a bit more difficult to use a content API. So I think about this actually often. And obviously, if I had the right solution, Sebastian, I would call you up and we'd start our own company.
Okay. All right. I'm waiting for your call.
I know, right? But how do we continue to push the envelope on connectivity? I think is the big question still out there. There's a lot of work to be done, right? You still have your push and your pull, and now a hybrid. You still have errors. You still have people that have to map rate plans. It's still a lot the same as 2005.
So the fundamentals of distribution haven't changed.
Correct.
It's still the same. The processes are still the same. Okay. All right. I want to do a lightning round. You're familiar with lightning round. I am. I want to hear what comes to mind. I'm going to throw a word at you, and you're just, could be a word that you throw back at me, could be a sentence, whichever it is. Departures.
Like airline departures? Or like checkout departures?
Correct. Anything. Departure. What comes to mind?
Seamless.
Okay. Luggage.
I still have yet to find a good one, a good brand.
Direct versus OTAs.
You need both.
Okay. Distraction. I guess you answered that earlier with TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. TikTok right now. TikTok right now for sure.
TikTok.
It's a big distraction.
Digital marketing.
Digital marketing is still very important, and I think that's another one that's just going to continue to evolve.
Travel in 2030.
That's a good question. I don't know if I tend to be that person that looks terribly far out. I think you can answer that from many angles, right? How easy it is to book. Where am I going to be traveling to in 2030? There's a lot of ways to answer that question. I mean, personally, I hope I hit several more countries or cities within the next 5 to 7 years, but we'll see.
Okay.
From a systems, I'm going to answer this from a systems standpoint,
Perfect.
actually.
Perfect.
I know this is cloud beds, but cloud beds doesn't serve all market segments, but I really feel strongly about the need for an integrated PMS and CRS. Okay. Not everybody's doing that, but I think there's a couple of people that are on their way to doing that, and that's going to be very interesting. By 2030, we better not have two systems anymore. It's been too long.
One system, one platform.
We need one system. Yeah, why are we having an interface between a PMS and CRS anymore? Why?
I'm all in favor of getting rid of it. I'm done.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just another interface to manage, and two different platforms, usually by two different companies. It's too much.
All right. Let's wrap up the lightning round. 2 more questions. Bleisure.
Oh, bleisure is what I do all the time. Like, that's how I travel. That is how I travel.
Okay. Turn down.
Turn down. I mean, like, turn down service. I mean, I like. Sure. I mean, you know, I like to stay at nice hotels, so I like a good turn down service.
So you're a fan of good.
Yeah, I like a good turn down service. Blackout curtains, all of that. Mint on my pillow.
Let's go back to platform for a second, because I do want to. I want our listeners to understand. Like, you're right now implementing a brand new CRS. You said, why do we have PMSs and CRS? Why is everything disconnected? Sorry, separate, not disconnected. Why does it matter that to you that they're two different systems? Why do you think one system could do it better?
I think the systems need to integrate and work so closely together, right? I'm just gonna throw out there packages. Right. So packages are traditionally built in the PMS because, right, the billing and the folio and all of that takes place. But the ability to sell... And the packages, just for definition, includes multiple meal plans, multiple tickets, like anything that is more than just hotel, correct? Correct.
Okay. Sorry, continue.
And no, that's okay. And you need, right, the CRS is the one that is selling on all the distribution channels, right? So you need the CRS to be able to properly sell a package on the distribution channel, but you need the PMS to fulfill it. And sometimes those two systems aren't really talking in a way that that's going to work out smoothly. And I just think if we had an integrative system, there would be the like-minded thought on how it should work from booking all the way till checkout. And we just don't have that in many cases. Again, I know Cloudbeds does it well, and there's people that are on the chase for it, but I think that, and there's people that have tried it in the past. I've been a part of those companies that have failed, but that's where we need to continue to go.
Okay. I want to talk about a little bit your experience in the last, 3-4 years. There was this pandemic that has sort of changed a lot of, and to your comment earlier, it changed how you work, right? You went from in office to out of office. Travel changed our lives for certain periods, seemed to stop, at least people working in travel. I'm curious what you learned from that experience. What did you take from this COVID incident with you that you say, hey, this is what I've learned. This is what I've taken from this.
I'm going to go back to my team and being so grateful for my team. Unfortunately, I had to furlough half of my team during COVID, more than half. And those that stayed, first of all, they couldn't have been more gracious. On every phone call I made, I had to hold back the tears, but on the other end of the phone, they couldn't have been more understanding and gracious. I had people asking me how I was doing. So the humanity in people was completely restored during COVID. I think there's a lot of people that have forgotten about those last 3 years and are back to normal. But
you've had examples where that trust and whether that confidence in people was restored, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think people cared and they focused on one another a bit more and they worked closely together, right? I feel like the whole industry came together during that period
Mm-hmm.
and everybody just was in this together to bring travel back and get back to normal. And I think, we're out of COVID now and a lot of people have gone back to their old ways.
Okay.
And we need to remember that we're all partners and we're all striving in the industry to move it forward, whether you're competing on the hotel side or on the third party side, right? We're all in this together. We all want to do good things for travel.
Yeah. Was there a change in travel or in, I guess, distribution that you didn't see coming out of the pandemic? Something that you said, darn, hindsight 2020?
No, not that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, I like to see that direct bookings increased. I think that's evened out a bit back to normal levels, a normal mix, in a lot of places. I don't love for me personally as a traveler, I don't love the high rates that everybody's charging right now, but it's good to be a hotelier because everybody's still out traveling.
Okay. And that can, I guess, dictate to a certain extent or can qualify the high rates, right? Like if there's enough demand, rates are high. But
Yep.
as you rightfully said, if you're on the, I guess, paying end, it maybe limits your ability to travel yourself. Anything
I
else?
was I was just looking at over 4th of July and I couldn't believe the rates up in Jackson Hole. I was looking up in Jackson Hole and they could get a 3-star hotel and you're paying almost $600 a night. It's a bit crazy.
Okay, so that has to change in your opinion at some
I
point.
mean, at me as the traveler, obviously, I'd like, as sitting on the hotelier side of Vegas, it's good to be in Vegas. That's for
Okay.
sure.
Alright. Um, what's I mean, you're constantly recruiting, you're constantly expanding potentially your team, or at least, looking for a talent. What's one piece of advice you'd give to somebody starting out in the industry?
I'm always going to say this first, continually try and learn, read everything that you can, make sure you read the news and get involved in network. I owe Hedna a lot because it's where I really met a lot of
Well,
people such as yourself,
right.
actually. And now I can call up so many people in the industry and ask, hey, how are you handling this? Or what do you think about this? Or just like you and I, what's going to be the future in 2030 of
Mhm.
distribution? So try and get yourself out there and network and learn as much as you can.
Okay. That's a great piece of feedback. How do you do networking now? I mean, you were at some point Hetna president before me, so I'm curious, what do you do now?
I mean, I have to admit, after that 3 years, I've needed a break. I just, I think I just took a step back. I mean, it happened to unfortunately be, my presidency was done in January of 2020, where you picked up, but
You
I
timed
was,
that pandemic very well.
I was able to take a much needed break. I'm a big phone person. I actually
Okay.
still talk on the phone a lot. And
Okay.
so I try to make time to connect on the phone
Uh-huh.
with a lot of industry people. I do
Uh-huh.
that.
Uh-huh.
And I try, this year's been a little bit more of a struggle to get out and go to conferences and stuff, but that's still such a great way to get out there and really connect with people. You just can't replace that in person. You can't.
Where are you traveling to next? I mean, both business and leisure. Of course, we'll spend more time on the leisure destination, but what's your next business trip and what's your next leisure trip?
Yeah, I'm hoping to get to Hedna in Milan. Actually, I
Well,
think it's within the next 30 days. And
oh,
I
you're
actually
doing
spent,
leisure. You're doing
I
leisure.
do. I
Okay.
always do, right? If I can, yeah, I always do. And I was actually this past weekend looking at these kind of small little quaint hotels up in northern Italy,
Well,
like an hour from Innsbruck, Austria, kind of like get me out into the mountains and hike and swim and bike. And
you want to
that's what I
hang
have on
out
my
with George
radar.
Clooney at the lake or
No, I'm
something.
not Lake Como. No,
No,
that's too
but come on.
popular.
Okay.
Out in the wilderness.
Okay.
Just need
Okay.
kind of a wellness kind of hotel. Take a little break from everything, unplug from email, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. That's what I want to do next.
Let me send you a couple of addresses. I think I may have a recommendation or two.
I'll send you the ones I was looking at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You mentioned Microsoft ChatGPT in an earlier question. You're heading to Milan conference. What do you think is sort of a topic at upcoming conferences that we will all want to discover more? Is it ChatGPT?
I mean, I think, anything AI related, but I think back on when blockchain came out, we talked about blockchain at every conference and ad nauseum. We talked about it. Super hard to achieve. I know some companies are using it in many ways. I think ChatGPT will pop. It's cool, right? It's cool new technology. Everybody should understand what's new out there and how they might be able to use it. But I think continuing to talk about AI is super important. It's definitely the future.
I do feel though, and I'm curious on your perspective, right? Like I'm often overloaded when I search for something, and you had a great example. You want a very specific product in northern Italy with hike, with spa, with, decent food that is of high quality where there's a turn-on service, right? Like that's your search parameters. When you start that discovery today, you will get 1 million results that none of them are really matching that criteria perfectly.
So I love that we're talking about this because when I go on vacation to plan vacation, it takes me weeks. This isn't something I'm not loyal to any big brands. I don't prefer to actually stay in the big brands. I like to find the independent luxury hotels, and you may be surprised to hear where I usually start my journey. I actually usually start my journey at I will look at Mr. and Mrs. Smith hotels. I look at tablet hotels. Sometimes I'll look at leading small luxury hotels of the world because I want to get my pulse on those independent hotels that are out there. Then I'll start to do a Google search on like luxury hotels in this region, and usually you'll have some publication, whether it's a fashion magazine or somebody will write an article about some kind of cool hip hotel. And that's usually what I go for.
So Condé Nast or some magazine, some travel
or something.
writing.
Yeah. Where something that I read about. And I like small. My ideal is definitely under 100 rooms.
Well, your average size property that you're working for has how many rooms? 3,000? So I'm not surprised.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is 3,000 accurate? I mean, you probably know better than I do.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so you're going for much smaller than that. You're going for 30 rooms or approximately.
Yeah, and I like that personal. They usually give you so much personal attention. I want to go to the front desk. I want to talk to people. I'm that girl.
Wait, you're not downloading the app? You're not going on your phone?
No. And Sebastian, I've actually never stayed at an Airbnb. I'm a hotelier through and through.
Okay.
I won't do it.
That's a bombshell comment. That's a mic drop.
I won't do it. Yep. I won't do it.
All right. Final question. What's your favorite travel destination in the world?
Oh, well, there's so many more places to go to, but I mean, I keep going back to, I just love Italy. I've been to every area of Italy. I can't get enough of Italy. I've looked at like what's like to buy real estate in Italy. Like I'm pretty obsessed with Italy.
You're going to buy one of the €1 houses?
Totally. I look at that every time it comes out. What does it take to convert this?
Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today on The Turndown. Really appreciate you being here on the program, and I really appreciate sharing your insights, your wealth of experience, and your personal travel experiences, which I really appreciated. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening to The Turndown. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in next week as we discover new exciting guests.